Hi, I'm Marilyn San Clemente of Stamp with Marilyn, and welcome to my Creative Playground. Tonight I'm going to show you how to do 2 accordion fold cards, and I have one that is a portrait size that is 5.5 by 4 1/4, and it folds out into these pieces. So it's actually, I almost want to call it like a triple Z because it has a Z and then it has another Z that overlap. So it looks like this. And this is a a landscape one. So it goes the long way. So it is 5.5 by 4 1/4 this way. And same thing, it's kind of a triple Z. And the centerpiece, the 2 pieces kind of overlap, but it folds out. And they're just really cute cards, and there's so much that you can do with them. So I have a few different samples that I'm going to show you tonight, but first let me show you how to make the card base. So let's get started. So the card base is 8 1/4 by 5.5. So we're going to cut this at our normal 5.5, and I'm using the extra white or the extra thick basic white cardstock, and then we're going to take off 1/4 of an inch so that it is 8, rather than 8.5, it's going to be 8 1/4. So yes, that is not a typo in my directions. Okay, and now I'm going to move my cutting blade out of the way, and we are going to score this at 2 1/8. 3 1/8, 5 1/8, and 6 1/8. So that one's a little bit difficult here, but this is the 6 1/8, and then this long line right here that's kind of off the grid before the second part of the grid starts is the 6 1/4. So there we go. So there is our card base. And as you can see, you've got 2 sections, and these 2 sections are 2 1/8 inch wide. And now we're going to fold back. We're going to fold like this. We're going to kind of do an up and a down. And we want to get some good creases on this because it is an accordion fold. So we're going to fold that, and then we're going to fold this forward. So we're going to flip that again and do the back. And then we will fold this back again. And then, and then we will fold this part forward again. Okay, so we're going to flip that down. So you will have 2 sets of folds, okay, going each way, and you just want to make sure you crease those really well. And then you're going to have 3 sections to the card. So 1, 2, 3, okay? And now what we're going to do is make our panels that go on this. And what's really cool about this is the panels are a little bit wider, so they fold over each other. And as you can see, the whole card folds up, and then this back panel is kind of covered. So this makes that 4 1/4. So you need to be careful when you're cutting your panels, or actually you need to be careful when you're gluing your panels, because you don't want to put glue on this part of the panel. You want to make sure that the glue is on here. So the first thing that we're going to do is for the first panel and the second panel, we are going to cut mats that are, I'm using navy. We're going to cut mats that are 2 7/8 wide and 5 1/4 tall, because the card is 5.5, and we want the mat to be almost just under 3 inches. And then we're going to cut a piece of white that is 2 5/8 by 5 inches. So we've got that 1/4 inch we've got that 1/4 inch difference between the mat and the panel. So we're going to put those together, and again, these two panels are going to be the same size, and that's for the first section and the second section. Okay, I'm going to layer this so that I have that margin, I have that 1/4 inch margin, and this part is going to hang over. So I only want to put glue on this side of the back of the panel. Okay, so you can do that one of two ways. You can either add your adhesive here, but don't go all the way up or all the way down, because then some of the adhesive will show, or you can do it this way. You can put the adhesive here and just go over, but don't go too far over. And I have done that, and then I have to take the adhesive off, and that is not a lot of fun. So there we go. Oh, and okay. So we've got our margin all the way around here. You can see, okay? And now we're going to do the same thing with this one. So same thing, we only want to put tape, and you can flip that part back as you're doing this so that you can see what you're doing to line that up. So we only want tape on that first 2/3 part. Oops. Uh-oh. Okay, I don't want to go over too far. Okay, so there's our second panel. Okay, and now our third panel is a little bit different, and we want that to be kind of hidden behind to this piece. So we're going to cut a mat and a piece to 2 inches by 5 1/4, and we're going to cut the white piece to 1 3/4 by 5 1/8, and we'll put that together. Oh, actually, this one completely covers up that back piece. So let's fold that part under. So this will fit like this, okay? So that will completely cover up that back piece. So you don't have to worry about having your glue not in the right place. Okay, so there we go. Okay, so that is how we assemble our card, and it will look like this. So now we're ready to decorate. Now what I did, I have a couple of different versions of this card. So what I did with this card, I used the Regency Park designer paper, and I cut a strip that was 1 1/4 by whatever the width of this piece is. So it's just under 4 inches. So it's 1 1/4, and I ran it this way. I ran it in a landscape fashion. And then I used the 1 1/4 inch strip here, and I ran it down the side. And then I added flowers from the Regency Park suite. And then for this last piece, instead of using that navy blue, I used a piece of designer paper. So my designer paper was cut to 2 inches by 5 1/8. And then my piece of white was cut to 1 3/4 by 5 1/8. I should say this was cut to 2 inches by 5 1/4 because it's the same size as the navy blue. So it should line up with that navy blue, okay? So at any point, you can substitute designer paper instead of the white, or you can have a multiple layer to this and then add some designer paper on top. So this is one example of one that I did using Regency Park, made on Friday night. And for this one, I used the By the Bay designer paper. And because of this paper, and just it's a scene, so what I did was I cut the paper, I took the 6-inch paper and I cut it like this and then matched the pieces up for the scene. And so I wanted to really bring out those colors in that paper, so I did 2 mats for this. So the designer paper is 1/4 of an inch smaller than the white piece that I used here, okay? And then my friend Julie, who's my helper, used the wave set, and she used that pretty new sparkly balmy blue paper that has a little bit of a design to it, and she cut the waves and ran that across. And then she used the pearls, and she used the new gold glimmer paper, which is beautiful. And she used the shells on the back piece, and then she used the birds from the wave set. So we combined the wave set and the By the Bay set to decorate this card, which I thought was really, really pretty. She did a nice job with that. So thank you, Julie. Helps me out a lot with inspiration and finishing up projects that I get started. And I don't always have time to finish. So that's why I have a helper. Okay, so that is the portrait card. And now let me show you the landscape card. So this one's really cute. So this is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 across. So we're going to start with a different size piece, and it's going to be scored a little bit differently. And then as you can see, these pieces are a little bit longer. I've got my cutter again and my scoring blade. And we're going to cut our piece to 4 1/4 by 10 1/2. So we're going to cut this in half the long way. And I'm using Sahara sand for this. And we're going to take off 1/2 inch on this one, since this is going the long way and it's 11-inch paper. Okay, and now we're going to score at 2 1/2. So I'm going to move my cutting blade out of the way. We've got 2 1/2, 3 3/4, 6 3/4, and 8. Okay, and we're going to do that same fold that we did before. So we're going to fold this back like this, and we're going to flip our piece over and score that. And then we will fold back this way like this. So we'll flip it over again and we'll score. And then back this way. So that's the second section. And then back again this way. So again, we've got the 3 sections and the 2 folds, and it's going to look like that. And there we go. So we have our piece of cardstock for our landscape version of the card, which I'm going to put right here so that you can see that. And now we're going to cut the mats and the designer paper. So the first mat is going to be 2 1/4 by 3 3/4. And so that's going to go on here. You could, if you wanted to, this piece is 3 3/4 by 4. You could make the mat go all the way out, but you don't have to. It just kind of depends upon your designer paper and what you want to do with it. And then the second mat is going to be larger because this is a larger piece on this. So this one is 3 3/4 by 2 3/4. There's no right and wrong on this. These are your cards. You know, make them the way you want. If you want your mats to come out further, then that's fine. And then that last section is 2 1/4. So the mat will be 2 1/4 by 3 3/4. Okay, so there's our 3 sections. And then we have our designer paper. So 3 3/4 by 4. So it's almost a square. It's not quite a square. And this is the first piece. And again, we want to make sure that we just put the adhesive on this section here. Go like that. So there's our first piece. And then our second piece, we want this to be 3 3/4 by 2 3/4. So that is going to hang over a little bit off the mat, but not much. You could make that extend further if you wanted to. Make it extend further because you could make it go out over this full piece. And then this is the last section to this card. So this piece is 2 1/4 by 3 3/4. Okay. Okay, so that is our card base with the mats and the designer paper on it. And let me show you what I did with that on our class on Friday night. I used the country floral paper, and then I used the Scenic Garden host set that is really cool for celebration. I love the flowers on this. As you all know, I'm a gardener and I love flowers and things. So I love the bench with the flowers. And then I used this stack of flowers here, the stacked pots, and some more. And another piece of flowers, and then I put my message, may the good you do come back to you. And I used this thank you up here. So that is how I decorated my second one. And my first one is that one using the rainy day with the cute turtle and the fox and the rabbit. And there we go. That's how I decorated mine. So you could also put some pieces here if you wanted to, or you could layer those, emboss a piece of cardstock and put an embossed piece there. You know, these are your cards. Make them the way you want, and enjoy. Have fun making them. So thank you for stopping by, and I will see you again soon. Take care. Thank you for stopping by my creative playground today. If you're not on my mailing list and would like to receive my newsletter, go out to stampwithmarilyn.com and sign up for my mailing list on the top right corner. Thanks again. Take care.